How do you do? I'm Dustaroo, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know about Dead by Daylight's new chapter, All Things Wicked. Before we get into it though, I know it's been a little while since we last spoke. I just managed to climb out of the third layer of hell, where, funny enough, the 7 Days to Die servers are located. I would have been back sooner, but my first attempt at freedom failed after some cute, but legally distinct animals dragged me back down. But I am back now, and this is the first video of quite a few videos I've got planned for the month moving forward, a couple of which are owed, but right now, let's talk about Dead by Daylight's new chapter. All Things Wicked has released on the PTB February 20th, which gives us...
Why so nervous tonight?
Whatever the hell this is. Even its name is unknown. A new survivor by the name of Sable Ward, Dead by Daylight's first attempt at a goth survivor. But instead of goth, they couldn't seem to decide which aesthetic they wanted to go with and just rolled emo, goth, scene, all into one profitable ball that's going to empty my bank account faster than a drug addiction. Cause you know there's going to be a dump truck load of cosmetics for her very quickly. We also get 6 new perks that, even if you wouldn't describe them as meta or maybe even good, add new mechanics and feel very unique to the usual pack fillers we usually get. And finally, a new map, based around a small town movie theater attached to a local park. Not really anything exciting that adds a whole new layer to a DBD map formula, compared to stuff like Dead Dog Saloon or Toba Landing, but the theater is what I would call neat. So I like it. So let's talk about the unknown. Its look, its power, its Mori, its playstyle. Whatever it is, it's a twisted, malformed man creature that kind of looks like I do when I get out of bed in the morning. Sounds included. Whose overall movement and look reminds me of a claymation character from Coraline with the express goal of looking zesty.
Bitch, you know I'm sexy. Ugh.
Also a very obscure reference, but it reminds me so much of this guy. I will give out brownie points to anyone who can tell me in the comments where this character is from. The whole vibe of this character, from the twisty movements, the mimicked human voice, its very chic sense of fashion, and that face, really nails and succeeds in the uncanny valley feeling. Uncanny valley being something that looks sort of human or feels sort of human, but some alarm bell in your head goes off, giving you a sense of dread and anxiety, like a subconscious warning not to trust whatever this thing is. It is not you, no matter how close it might feel or look. This kind of feeling you would get from realistic looking robots or lead paint stairs. This even boils down to the unknown's weapon, a basic fire axe. Why does this unknown being have a fire axe? I don't know, it adds a bit of goofiness and seems out of place, but the whole character's identity is looking out of place, so it actually kind of works. I won't touch on it much, but in the lore and add-ons, there is hints to this creature being made or monitored by an SCP-like organization at some point. Overall, I see the character's look, sound, feel is 10 out of 10. It's goofy, out of place, unnatural, uncanny, gross, kind of horrifying. They nail everything it needs to nail. It's not going for strictly horrifying, it's going for that feeling that you don't quite understand and makes you uncomfortable. And it succeeds in that. It's when we come to the power we start to see a bit more weakness in the design. The unknown actually has quite a lot going on compared to a lot of Killer's kits. The biggest part of the power is the meat grenade, that at times feels a lot less like a ranged ability, and more like when you try and go for a spit, but the muscles in your mouth fail, something goes horribly wrong, and it just sort of limply falls out of your mouth. The unknown will toss this meat nade, as I will call it moving forward. It spits out the meat nade that will bounce off an object before blowing up in a pink dome. This pink dome, if it comes in contact with the survivor, causes them to become weakened. What does weakened mean? Well, it means their immune system becomes a lot less active in fighting off illnesses and viruses. Like the allure of maining Skull Merchant, an absolutely lethal illness, I'll tell you. Once a survivor is weakened, if they are hit by a meat nade a second time, they will take damage. Think of Nemesis's tentacle, but significantly less frustrating to use, as this AoE effect will hit through walls. To all of you in my Nemesis video who said this would never work in DBD, So this being an AoE effect that attacks even through walls, you can imagine this makes it very hard to dodge at a lot of locations, and can make for some high level trick shots. If you hit them with a meat nade directly before it blows up, they're supposed to get some sort of hindered effect. At this point, you're probably just thinking, wow, the devs are just printing OP killers now. There is a way for survivors to deal with this. After survivors are weakened, they can slowly remove this effect by making eye contact onto the unknown, until they are cleansed of the weakened status effect. It's exactly like Ghostface's stealth expose mechanic. I would bet you money that it basically uses the exact same code. This gives the survivors a small bit of interactivity during chase besides just looping to help provide them a better chance at survival. Higher level players will be doing this anyways against all killers, so there's nothing really new there. But I've seen you solo queue survivors acting like you have a cone on your head and you can't look around even if you wanted to. This will be very punishing for those players specifically, and maybe, hopefully, please, if there's anybody up there, please, maybe this will push those less experienced survivors to learn to look behind themselves and chase. But I wouldn't count on it. The second part of the ability is all while you're lighting people up like an Indian holy festival, you will periodically give birth to fully formed hallucinations that act as teleport locations. Basically hag traps, but always active, unless you recently use them or they've been dispelled by survivors in a horrific animation that makes me feel indescribable dread and panic that brings my mind to the brink of unshackled insanity where the darkest corners of my mind are on full display. Yeah, that's how survivors deal with those, if they don't want to get jump scared. They're probably my favorite teleport mechanic in the game. Even with them being so RNG and unpredictable, they have a habit of still being very useful. The spawn timer is also dependent on how many survivors you weaken. So the faster you weaken, the faster you give birth. Not sure if there's a cap, but I wouldn't be shocked if there wasn't, since you can only have 4 in the trial at any given point. If you attempt to dispel one of these hallucinations but fail midway through, you'll weaken yourself in confusion and alert the unknown with killer instinct, basically ringing the dinner bell. What could possibly be the Mori for the unknown? In this case, I think actions speak louder than words, but if I were to sum it up in just 2, it would be twisty diarrhea. The Unknown has 3 perks that are funny because they all start with Unbound, Undone, Unforeseen. Just wanted to mention that because it itches my nerd brain. First we have Unbound. When a survivor becomes injured by any means, Unbound activates for 24, 27, 30 seconds, and grants a 5% haste effect for 10 seconds after vaulting a window. So very straightforward when it comes to perks. You injure someone, and then after you hop a window, you go really fast. Vault builds get another weapon, and Tombstone Myers gets another big buff. Undone. Whenever a survivor fails a skill check, while repairing or healing, Undone gains 3 tokens, up to a maximum of 30 tokens. Performing the damage generator action, kicking it really hard, consumes all accumulated tokens and applies the following effects. Instantly regress the damage generator by -1% per token, blocks the damage generator for 1 second per token, and causes the damage generator to start regressing once it's become unblocked. Undone is on a cooldown of 60 seconds. This perk is basically just the killer's version of Eugen's perk Fast Track. This is very likely never going to be seen outside of the game with one specific killer. And finally, Unforeseen. Performing the damage generator action on a generator applies Unforeseen for 30 seconds, transfers your terror radius to the damage generator and sets its range to 32 meters. Grants the killer the undetectable status effect. If I were to describe what this perk is, I would say, when 2 perks love each other very much, they will sometimes do a big hug that we call banging. And eventually, after enough banging, they bang out a baby. This baby being a result of Dark Devotion and Trail of Torment putting on Who Let the Dogs Out and Getting Busy. Get ready to see a lot of this perk, from me specifically. I'm sure it'll be popular with others too. Now we're talking about the survivor that Dead by Daylight has somehow only made after 8 years. My new main, Sable Ward. See, I was hoping for a goth Latina with a bunch more attitude, but beggars can't be choosers. She is very unique, looks aside, because she may be the only survivor who stays hydrated through the trials. At least, I think that's water. Besides her being Dead by Daylight's new money printer for cosmetics, sorry Michaela, you had a good run at number 2, but you're about to become an endangered species once Sable enters the fog. Sable also brings in a new perk type and a new perk style. Sable's most interesting perk being Invocation Weaving Spiders. When in the basement near the circle, press the ability button to begin the invocation. Invocation takes 120 seconds. Other survivors will see your aura while doing this and can join you in the ongoing interaction, increasing the speed by 50% each. If they have the invocation perk equipped, they will increase it by 100%. Once the invocation is completed, you will become injured and broken for the rest of the trial, and all generators instantly gain 15 charges. Completing the invocation disables that perk for all survivors. So basically you get a perk that lets you and all of your closest besties sit on the floor in the basement, and after a not so short amount of time, some could say ages, eons even, you finish the invocation and give your massive sacrifice for an underwhelming reward.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Just getting 15 charges on all gens is not a very good trade. Being no mither for a slight amount of progress on every generator that can be regressed is just plain to say,
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
If you don't get this done at the start of the trial, it gets even more useless as the match goes on. I really think they should change the effect to be, instead of all generators gaining 15 charges instantly, it should remove 15 or 10 charges off of all generators, kind of like a brand new part. Still not a great perk as time goes on during the match, but it's also not pointless and regressible. But honestly, I could care less about an individual perk. It's the new mechanic that looks goofy as hell and gives players a fun side objective that can be shared in by other survivors. Get ready to see thousands of memes and clips around this interaction. I'm not even joking you, you're gonna see a lot of them very soon. Unlike Scourge hooks, this feels like a legit new type of perk that's exciting for people to try and get working. Instead of a powerful effect we need to somehow put behind a wall so it isn't too broken. I really do hope they add more of these sooner rather than later. I will be very interested to see the ideas the community comes up with around this new way of perks working. In fact, why don't you leave a comment down below and tell me your idea for how to make a new invocation perk. Next, we have Sable's second perk, Strength in the Shadows. When in the basement, this perk activates, which allows you to heal without a medkit at 60% normal healing speed. When you finish a heal in the basement, you see the killer's aura for 10 seconds. Now this is what we would call a niche perk. I wouldn't say bad, but niche. If you're a self-care gamer, this might actually be the replacement you're looking for. Pair it with botany knowledge and you got yourself an actually slightly faster heal whenever you need it, no medkit required, with a bit of icing being able to see the killer's aura after you're done. You only need to be in the basement when you do it, and by in the basement, I mean only halfway up the staircase. Probably not going to be a massive perk, but I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see it compete with self-care. Then we have Sable's final perk, which is Wicked, which is not actually on the PTB at the moment. The perk she got was not the one she's going to have, so Wicked's effect is actually going to be yourself unhooks in the basement will always succeed. After unhooking yourself or being unhooked by others in the basement, see the killer's aura for 20 seconds.
Say the line, Bart!
This is niche.
Yay!
Unhooking yourself in the basement is something you are only going to be using for a meme basement build. And maybe if a basement meta forms, we would start seeing this perk be actually used. Would you throw this on an unhook build? Probably not, since it's a guaranteed. It would just be a waste for your other perk slots. Sorry, Slippery Meat, you're still trash.
Oh, come on, man, I can't have shit in this house!
No one is going to be running this except for getting clips, and maybe some survive with friends bully squads, who knows. As much as I appreciate Behavior's commitment to the joke of your goth girlfriend forcing you into the basement, it is a tough requirement to fill that in almost every case you would be better off running something else. That being said, I am happy to see more basement perks in the future, and especially invocations, since it is a relatively unexplored aspect of DBD gameplay for survivors, so I have to say I'm pretty satisfied with these perks for starters. And lastly, we need to talk about the least notable inclusion in the chapter, but still a good time. The map. Greenville Square in the realm Withered Isle. The map is based around small Midwestern towns, which houses a statue of long-dead pilgrim immigrants or something, I don't know, they're some long-dead white people. This whole map is very familiar looking, with the forest and the similar tiles we see in basically every other map. There's really not a lot of new things to see here. The metal fence being a really nice touch, it sells me on the whole small town park feeling, except the real exciting part, the 80s themed movie theater. The building is pretty small, but has a lot going on inside and around it. You got the front of the actual movie theater with tons of movie posters, this one looking a lot like John Kramer from Saw. You have the actual theater screen, which seems to have some infected piercings all on the walls. You should really get those checked out. We have a very sketchy bathroom that looks like the perfect place to inject some anti-hemorrhagic syringes. We have a very colorful lobby, and of course the arcade. And there is a ton, I mean a ton of small details that really make this building something special. But I just wanted to give you a little taste of what this map's overall feeling is, and what to expect. The map is not great, but it's not Garden of Joy, so that's something to be excited about. And that's about everything you need to know about all things Wicked. This was not exactly what I was expecting, or most people were expecting, but after getting through the cloud of disappointment and expectations, we can see that this is actually quite a great chapter. We got a monstrous creature no one saw coming, that just reeks of the uncanny valley, a goth girl you can devote your entire existence to, new perk types and mechanics, and overall not a bad map. So I would say this chapter is a big win. I do think people are going to be very upset with this killer once people start to learn how to use the meat grenade, but only time will tell. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I will be having a new chapter concept coming out in a couple days, one that a lot of people have been asking for a long time, and kind of fits thematically with this whole twisted flesh mask that the unknown is, so be prepared for that. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please hit that like button and maybe even subscribe. A second for you, a lot of help for me. But that is going to be that. My name is Dustaroo, and I will see you all real soon. I promise. Bye-bye.